Hello, welcome to Quick Stop F1. My name is Nyasha, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. Joining me on the podcast as ever is my co-host Thandie. Thandie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you. I've missed
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah,
Really missed talking Formula One. And this was such an exciting race anyway to talk about. So,
absolutely
yeah.
exhilarating race. I cannot wait to pick the bones out of it. And joining us is Yannick. Yannick, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, hey guys. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm okay, man. I'm okay. It's a great race.
Yeah.
I got a big smile on because I did, it was kind of like it was exciting to see, two top drivers just going at it. Just what we wanted basically. So yeah, man.
Yeah. No, and it's nice actually because whenever we talk, it's always just like through Formula One tweets on the timeline. So it's nice to
Yeah,
actually get you on and
yeah,
talk to
for real,
you
man.
in real life. So I'm just gonna let's get into it real quick. So we have a wet start. We've got people on different tires. I think the highest person on the full wets was Gasly, but further back there were others on full wets. People are crashing on the way to the grid. Alonso. But we have the start, and Thandie, at the
Oh,
start, we see Lewis versus Max and Perez into turn one. What were your thoughts at that point and kind of seeing Lewis go off like that?
that was so crazy because I honestly thought that it was going to be a Red Bull chasing a Mercedes kind of race. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Ideally, that's what we all kind of thought, and we thought that was going to be our podium lineup. But
yeah,
as I always say with Imola, it's so unpredictable. That entire that track within itself is just crazy anyway, and so many sharp turns. Like it was always as soon as I heard that there was rain, I just knew this isn't going
it
to be
was gonna
just any
be
old race, guys.
it's gonna be a matter. And I guess Yannick, when you saw them going into turn one side by side, did you fear for the worst,
See,
or what did you think?
that's the thing. So I was hungover, so I just woke up.
Oh yeah,
I missed the start. So I'm thinking, wait, why is Max ahead of Lewis? What's happened? So obviously they're showing the
yeah,
replay. But oh my gosh, that was. I think that's Lewis's nightmare, having two Red Bulls behind him and no Bottas in sight. He's got no
yeah.
protection, and he had a pretty poor start. You'd expect obviously on wet. When did he start on the inters or the full wets? It was inters, right?
He started on the Inters.
Yeah,
They
so
were all on Inters.
can't really get much heat in the tires, so it's going to be a slow start. And Red Bulls are, notoriously fast starters. So he's sandwiching two Red Bulls. He did well to remain second, I guess, because had he dropped back to third race over, and that's, we've been Mercedes is like worst nightmare.
Yeah. They were showing little clips in the pre-race of like the timelines of like Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen and how like obviously Lewis has started in 2007 and whatever Max was karting, but there's I think it was after they touched in Mexico 2018 maybe, and they asked Lewis, they were like, do you like when you're up against Max and like an overtaking thing, do you kind of think differently than any other driver? He's like, yeah, of course, because Max is he's a full sender. They've had contact
Mm-hmm.
before, and normally I must say like 9 times out of 10, Lewis kind of backs out of those kind of situations at the
Yeah, he
start, and
does. Yeah.
he's more of like a long race kind of
Yeah.
guy. But he went for it, and I was a bit worried when the pieces came off his front wing, but he came through it okay.
He did, and I think again, just proving how well of a
Mm.
driver he is. Not many people would have recovered from that, and he did so well in kind of just building himself back up.
Yeah,
It
for
was it was
sure.
quite it was quite a scruffy race for him, don't you think? Though, like that's probably the scruffiest race I've seen Lewis drive in a long time. The start,
Yeah.
the mistake, when he's past you trying to, overtake George, the back bar cut, and then I think he had another little mistake later on in the race as well. It wasn't the most clean race by him. I think maybe that
No,
start that start got him, off his game maybe.
no, that's a really good point. And I guess, after the pit stops, obviously they kind of came out, just behind, Max kind of kept the lead. And yeah, so Lewis going into the hoardings, Yannick, when, we don't often see, like I say, Lewis make mistakes like that. I didn't think he was going to get out. I'm not going
Neither
to
did
lie.
I. Neither did I. I thought I just thought I thought of the you know what, he's done for. He beached it. Like he can't find a gear. But then he found a way out. And
Yeah.
obviously, we saw what happened afterwards. It kind of it softened the blow of that mistake.
Yeah.
If he hadn't crashed, if he hadn't gone off, how would the race have happened? I just don't know, because he was coming back at Max. He literally was there. It was just too many mistakes.
Yeah.
Too many mistakes in the pits as well. So his race was so chaotic, but he managed to finish second and get the fastest lap. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
some side of
definitely
it.
on that. What you just sorry, Yannick. Definitely on what you've just said, guys. I like to check the Formula One Instagram comments, and someone
Yeah.
actually say, and he got attacked for it. Bless him. He did say that maybe Bottas. He said, weird conspiracy theory. Maybe Bottas crashed so Lewis wouldn't look as bad. Everyone said, throw tomatoes at this man. But I said,
I thought about it.
because it definitely
Well,
cushions the blow for embarrassment, I guess, because the whole
Yeah.
topic would have been Lewis. But
so I mean, look, it was the big talking point of the race, I guess, other than some of the other things that kind of went on in the race. We've got a Williams. I think first and foremost, we've got a Williams racing a Mercedes, and so we know something's not right there. And we're seeing, I think Turkey last season, when we had the conditions which were slippery, and Bottas, I think, spanned 3 times, I think got lapped, or maybe got lapped, but he was poor then, and struggled behind Stroll for a lot of the race. What do you guys think then of this incident? If you, let's say, you can't say that it's a racing incident. If you had to lay the blame at someone's door, who is at fault for the George Russell Valtteri Bottas crash?
I already blamed who I thought was wrong on Twitter earlier today, and I blamed Russell.
Okay.
The reason why I blame Russell is he knows it's Imola. Imola is notoriously it's not the widest track in the world, and it's high speed corners, chicanes, high speed corners, and you're racing on a drying track. It's not actually dry yet. So if you're gonna overtake someone, there's a chance you're gonna where spin your wheels and crash out. Obviously, Bottas did shift a bit to the right, but he was on the racing line. I can't really fault him. He's coming to the corner. The corner's coming up. He's on the racing line. He just shifts to the right a little bit, but not enough to cause George Russell to crash. And poor George, he was going so well at the time as well. If he had just bided his time a bit, he probably would have overtaken him after the next corner. But I think that's just the experience there. And obviously, you're driving a car that's not as good as the other one, that doesn't have the greatest reactions, and he crashes. So I'm blaming both of them there. That's just me personally. There, I know others think differently.
Yeah. No, it's a valid opinion. Thandie, do you agree? Is it George's fault? Is it Valtteri's fault? And you can't say it's a racing incident. I want blame. Who is to blame?
You want me to play the blame game?
Let's play the blame game.
Let's play the blame game. Okay, so I watched this. I watched and watched and watched and tried to see who kind of was in the wrong on this one. And I definitely kind of agree with Yannick that I think George is definitely in a position where he feels like he should be in that seat. Let's be very honest. And he's like and I think he saw this Mercedes coming through, and he said, yeah, I should be in that seat. And he thought, let me just go for it. And it was just a really silly move on both their parts, but I definitely think it was George's fault, I'm going to say, yeah. And obviously George came out and he knocked poor Bottas on his head. I really feel sorry for Bottas today, guys. And he knocked him on the head and he said, you trying to kill us? And it's like, no, man, come on, calm down, it's just a big fault. And poor Bottas was against the fence. He looked tears. It was, yeah, I'm not really.
I didn't really like George's reaction. I didn't really like his reaction. It's just crash instead of finding if it's okay or not. You're all that. I know there's a lot of rivalry, there's a lot of competition from Formula 1, and they all the drivers respect each other, and they know that after a big crash like that, your first action to cause concern is that is my fellow driver racer okay? But George, his reaction was a bit hard. I think he might regret his reaction if he looks back on it, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. At first, I thought he'd gone over to see if he was okay. That's before they did the zoom up thing and whatever. I saw him kind of walk over. I was like, okay, he's going over to see if he's okay. And then I thought the tap on the head was like, oh, take care.
You're right, man. Yeah,
take care. And then I think when they see Valtteri obviously flipping him the bird, and I think I think in an interview they asked him, and they were like, why did you go over? And he goes, I went over and asked him if he was trying to kill us, and it's just like, But then again, I fortunately have never crashed at 200 miles per hour, so I can imagine that it's not a pleasant feeling. But I've got some quotes here from one Toto Wolff.
Go on.
So he was quite on the vents on Sky, and I was like, oh, okay, I was actually thinking, I was expecting him to kind of back Valtteri a bit more, but here are some quotes, and they are not good for George. He says the whole situation should never have happened. Valtteri had a bad 30 laps and shouldn't have been there, but George should have never launched into that maneuver, considering the track was drying up. It meant taking risks, and the other car is a Mercedes in front of him. In any driver's development, for a young driver, you must never lose this global perspective. So yeah, lots to learn. And he basically goes on to say, like, if you should, if you see it's a Mercedes there, you shouldn't really be doing that. It was a very questionable move. So Papa Wolf was not happy. And I think you guys are right. You know what? For the sake of balance, I'm going to say it was Bottas's fault. And what I said on Twitter was that I felt that Bottas moved late, essentially. Quite similar to remember when Max and Ricciardo crashed in Azerbaijan a few years ago, and Ricciardo, it's a bit different because Ricciardo just went straight into the back of Verstappen, but it was basically because Verstappen moved late in the braking zone, and I think Bottas did that. I think with George, I think where it's his fault, and I definitely agree, is the risk reward ratio. Yes, getting into 9th place is a big deal for you guys, but 10th is also good. And wait for an opportunity where you don't have to potentially put a wheel on the grass. I think he is a bit wound up. I think he did want to make a point the same way he probably wanted to make a point in Bahrain. This time it didn't come together, and I think, like I say, the way it's gone over to him as well, I think it's reflected quite poorly on him. But he'll, like Toto says, lots to learn, and I think questions can be asked about why Bottas was in that position in the first place. But potentially we may get to that. But let's get to our. Actually, no. Before we get to that, I guess after that we've got a restart. And we end up having quite an interesting race, obviously with Hamilton coming through the pack, and with Norris as well. But I guess we haven't really spoke about Verstappen. I guess actually, you know what? We'll get into it because I thought we'll cover these things in the ratings. So let's rate. Yannick, you can go first. Who was your star driver of the day and why?
See, I have a driver of the weekend over just the day because
nice, yeah.
He was terrific all weekend, and I'm quite sure. I'm not actually shocked because I know that I saw last year that he has talent, and that's Lando Norris. He's one white time away from being on the second row, if I'm not mistaken. So like he had a strong qualifying, and obviously in the race he was behind Ricciardo, who's probably my second favorite driver on the grid. Behind him, and he was faster than Ricciardo, and he got himself a podium. He drove excellently over the whole weekend. Like he had a great day, a great weekend. He's showing me that real promising signs that he might be the lead driver at McLaren, and I didn't think that would be the case because he's shown that's 2 races now, and maybe because Ricciardo, Danny, he's getting used to the car still, but he's paying second fiddle to Norris.
Yeah, no, you're right, Thandie. Any thoughts on Norris?
Yeah, definitely. As you all know, I'm a very big Ricciardo stan, but I I think definitely this weekend was his weekend, and I think he looked back on what happened at quali and he said, you know what, today's another day, and he definitely proved that today's another day. And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Having Hamilton behind you, just trying to take you over and trying to maintain podium. Now you can hear that Hamilton's gunning and he's just climbing up the ladder. You'd be shitting yourself, do you know what I mean? And he's gone and he's kept it. So well done to him, definitely.
Well done. No, Lando Norris, absolutely amazing. I think you're right, Yannick, in that he has. We both kind of like football as well, and you can tell when like a young player visibly goes up a notch. You know what I mean? Even you, Thandie, So like he has really gone up a notch this season from testing. He's looked really quick, and this weekend, like I say, he was so close to being third on the grid. I think the fact that he was on soft tires as well. So he's brave enough to go on soft tires for 30 laps, made the tires last. I was watching in an interview and he said that he was basically tire saving as after he passed Leclerc at the restart, he was tire saving the next lap for the rest of the race because he knew that his tires were going to be done. So real maturity in that drive, and I'm really happy for him. And look, Ricciardo's got a fight on his hands, and I feel like I think give it until like half a season, and like once Ricciardo's really like performing well in that car, I think McLaren are going to be I think that's going to be Max versus Ricciardo part 2, basically, because you're just going to have two ridiculously talented drivers, basically.
Yeah, you're right. I feel for him somehow, the Ricciardo, because I feel like he's got enough talent just to be there with the big boys, but just there's always something missing, and I really like him, man. I didn't really want him to leave Red Bull, but I understand why. He wants to be the big talent at another team, but then now he's at McLaren and he's got Lando there now. So but hopefully this turns out well for both. I hope they both have a great season even.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to see. Look, if there's ever any inspiration for someone like Williams, it's to look at McLaren and look how they've gone from like pretty much second slowest car on the grid to third quickest. And there's a potential there. If there's any more wacky races where potentially Mercedes and Red Bull both mess up, McLaren are going to be in pole position to be able to pick up a win for sure. Thandie. Hello. Give us your driver of the day, your driver of the weekend. Who impressed you this weekend?
I definitely agree that Lando Norris was my favorite this weekend. He showed absolutely impeccable growth, as we were just saying. I really, do you know what? Like in quali, it was really sad what happened. He brought out that lovely statement where he said, "How I feel right now, inches away from P3. My mistake. I misjudged it, and the time was deleted. Sorry to everyone at McLaren. I effed up. You deserve better today." And I just thought, what a great sportsman. Do you know what I mean? And it was really nice to see Lewis Hamilton just backing him and saying, "You know what? Like we all fuck up. It's okay." And then returning back today and just being amazing.
That was good. But you can't have Norris, so I'm going to ask you to give someone else. Because you already been chosen. You can't just have it.
Okay, after Norris, then I'd give it to Hamilton.
Yes. Okay, good.
Because my guy literally went from spinning out to all the way back to the top and making it for a podium. Certain man weren't even thinking. I saw Twitter. I saw you people. I saw your little tweet.
Not me.
About, look at your goat. Look at your goat tweets. And he climbed it. So there you go. I knew you wanted me to say that.
No, look. Anytime to further the Hamilton propaganda, I'm here for it. Don't worry about that. I think we're right in terms of, it was messy, but I think, and he has a great car, but I think, in terms of racecraft, it's a difficult circuit to overtake at. I think, everyone else had big problems overtaking on that circuit, other than Lewis Hamilton. Obviously Max Verstappen did well. I think I'll get into that in a bit, but I think from ninth to second in 30 laps, medium tires, changeable conditions, pretty much, obviously drying track, but slippery and all of that. He did amazing. and I love him, and I. That's I didn't have to ask me twice. Yannick, any praise for Hamilton, or do you think it's tempered by the mistakes?
I think he did well to recover, but he had a terrible race. And I am a Lewis, like you guys, I'm a Lewis stan. I think he's one of my favorite sportsmen ever. But I think this was the very scruffy race, and he escaped by skin of his teeth, because that could have easily had him finishing maybe 10th, screaming for a point. But it's flipped it, and he's finished second. Would he have finished second if it wasn't for all these mishaps anyway? I don't know. But he second, and he's still leading the championship at one point. And Lewis isn't notorious for the greatest start to seasons anyway. So for first, second place quite early on, I think he'll take that. If you asked him before the start of the season, first two races, you get a first, a second, and you'll be leading the championship after the second of two races, would you take it? I'm sure he would have taken that.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. He always comes on in the second part of the season like a train. So all the points they can accumulate now, I think, it's definitely going to be worth it in the end. Okay. I'm gonna choose Lando Norris. I'm joking. I know. You know what? Lando was my first as well, and he's just so happy for him. I'm gonna choose Verstappen. I try not to pick the winner of the race, because obviously the winner's done well, but there are other stories down in the paddock of drivers who've done well. I think Leclerc, honorary mention, did quite well. I think Stroll getting 7th in that Aston Martin is a really good drive. But I think today, after last week, not last week, because it feels like 84 years ago. It was 3 weeks ago in Bahrain. After that, not getting the win when he probably should have, going wide for the overtake, and then I think that probably stung. And I think we're watching a Max Verstappen. There's been questions before about whether he is ready for a title fight. Does he have the temperament for it? Is he mature enough? He made a mistake in qualifying yesterday, which potentially could have seen him on pole without it. Makes up for it with an amazing start, bolts it down the road, keeps his head. He went through traffic really well, ends up winning the race by 20 seconds, it was a really solid performance from him. And I think, I think it's going to set up an absolutely classic season. If he's driving on that level, and if we have a Lewis Hamilton who is prone to mistakes, and it's not going to be the perfect Hamilton that maybe we saw last season, or a Hamilton that's under a lot more pressure than Bottas is going to give him, then I think we're in for a classic season. So that's
Did that take a lot for you to say Lewis Hamilton, who is prone to mistakes? Did you have to swallow?
I don't want to badmouth him at all. I wish I could show you. I wish I could show you my vision board. He's even on my vision board.
My
God! I've got him looking at me whilst I'm saying all this stuff. But look, and there's been other. Even in Turkey, he had a couple of times where he kind of went off the track and outbreak himself. So he is, like you said, he's only human. And pressure. It's a different kind of pressure from when it's a different team. It's very intense. So let's see. But I think the way Red Bull have set up this year, I think they're faster over one lap. I think Mercedes, they're a lot more even over race pace. So I think they're gonna. Yeah, I think they're going to have a really good battle, and let's see. But I think Verstappen did really well today, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yannick, I know you've got to go at 9, so I want to get into before you go, who your donkey of the weekend was. Who didn't do it for you?
See, I had like 2 in mind.
Yeah.
I was going to go for one of the Hasses. But you know what? It's unfair to go for the slowest cars on the grid. I'm gonna go for.
Yeah.
I know you're probably gonna. I'm taking one of yours already now. I'm gonna go for Bottas because
yeah.
he this is, I think, the crucial point in his career
Yeah,
because on his day he can be phenomenal. He can be the guy, who will, push you to the limit, but you'll probably end up winning anyway. But he'll push you to the limit.
yeah,
But when he's not on form, he's just a liability to the team. Like Toto said, you shouldn't be in 10th, finding yourself in 10th in the first place. You should be a lot higher up the grid. So like he's not the only second man to have a poor race, because I'm sure Perez had a poor race as well. He went off the track. I think he probably went off the track twice. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
twice.
But
Yeah,
so like it's just, I think it's the day of the. I mean, you probably someone just probably take Perez, but I'm going with the Bottas. It's just he shouldn't be doing what he's doing right now, especially this many seasons in, as a Mercedes driver. You should be doing a lot better. You should be helping your teammate, if anything. And when you have a poor qualifier, you're going to have a poor race as a top team driver. So he had a terrible weekend, awful weekend, and he's my donkey of the day, donkey of the weekend, just donkey full stop right now.
yeah. He's not great, is he? Thandie,
Hello?
you've been on record calling Bottas a bum.
He is. I've been trying to tell you people for a very long time that, I would even that's what I was saying to you. Like, Russell definitely knows that he should be in that seat, and Bottas just at this point, he doesn't even seem like he wants to be there. He doesn't seem very interested, So I did feel sorry for him today, though. Oh my gosh, I really did feel sorry for him. Like, it can be quite traumatizing just being in a crash anyway. But
Yeah.
at this point, like, he really shouldn't be making those mistakes, and that's why I'm going to put him as one of my donkeys for this week, because there's no excuse for it. As Toto did definitely say, he shouldn't have been there in the first place. So,
Yeah.
he should have been there.
Yeah. He struggles cutting through traffic.
Yeah.
And I guess, it's harder for him at that point because there was only one racing line, and I don't know if there was DRS the whole race, but he was stuck behind Lance Stroll for a ridiculous amount of laps. And I guess it just makes you think, like, you're always thinking in the back of your mind, if that was Lewis, would he have found a way to get past? Would he have been stuck in 10th place that long? Like, it's a shame for Valtteri. It was such a poor performance. I think the crash helps him a little bit because we're having a discussion about whether it was George's fault or not, and obviously it's a bad race, but we're not focused. If he had another 30 laps down in, God knows what place, 30th, 3rd, 10th place, a lap behind as well. If there's no big crash, he stays a lap behind. It's and potentially passed by Lewis on his way back. I think it could have been even worse. So yeah, really good pick for both of you.
But let me also say,
oh yeah, sure.
A half donkey, guys.
Okay.
Me out here. Yuki in qualifying.
Okay. Yuki's okay.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, man.
Qualifying.
That was pretty.
Okay.
In my head, I thought, "Oh no, not in your first,
What are you doing?
your first season. Your first season can't be that early."
First keep. Come on,
Yeah.
I want better for him. I love that guy. I want better for him.
He did okay in the race, though.
Pardon?
He did okay at points in the race. He was doing okay.
He knew that was a mistake.
Yeah,
I just didn't expect that from him.
Yeah.
Half donkey point to him.
Half donkey, just like definitely. Was it like a kid? Is like that's a goat. That's a baby goat. I don't even know. What's a baby donkey? Who knows?
A kid? No, it's a kid.
I feel like a kid is a goat.
A stallion? No. What's donkey off Shrek? Is he not a baby? No.
I think he's just a big old donkey. Look, we will look into this, guys. Let us know in the comments what is the name of the child of a donkey. But I mean, with Yuki, I think we're seeing the effects of a lack of testing that everyone's got, because look, like I say, the Haas guys, that car feels like a bit of a death trap, to be honest. And having two rookies in there, and that team is
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yuki, I think he's had that issue in qualifying yesterday. I think everyone who's moved teams is saying that they're struggling with the car.
Yeah, everyone's because everyone's
and
trying to get used to their cars, aren't they?
yeah, I think there was I think it's only 3 teams who've kept their drivers from last season. So, you've got 14 drivers, or sorry, 7 teams, and a lot of situations where people have moved teams and are struggling in that team. So, Yuki is I feel like he just needs. Him and Gasly both need a race where it's just normal because they've got a quick car. That's the sad thing about it, and they just need time to be able to, to just have a normal race, get used to the car, and score some points as well.
I think he's getting roasted in the group chat, in the imaginary group chat.
Yeah, it wasn't the best performance. And I guess I'll go into my donkey in a bit. I want to just, I guess, before you go, Yannick, is there anything, obviously after seeing this race, people are calling it a classic. I don't know if I'd call it a classic. It was good.
Oh, nah. What do you call it a classic? It was an exciting race. It was an impact.
Yeah, exactly. I read it. I think it was the BBC, and they were like, "Verstappen wins classic." I was like,
"Oh gosh,
I wouldn't call it a classic."
I wouldn't call it a classic. No. But it was entertaining. But Yannick, if there's one thing that you would like to see, or one redeeming performance you'd like to see, or one piece of action you'd like to see, or whatever, I think the next race is Portugal. So what are you looking forward to kind of seeing in Portugal?
Do you know what I want? I want a third team, being involved in a battle for the win. Obviously, it's a reach to expect teams like McLaren or Ferrari to be involved, but I need that third team to be involved. So, like the good old days when you had 3 teams battling that for position, and the wins just made it exciting. So, I need another team to be involved in the scrap. I think that would make the next race just exciting, because it's at the moment in time it's just Lewis against Max.
Yeah,
it's just Lewis against Max. They don't have to worry about their teammates right now. Both of them are just they're being donkeys themselves. So I need somebody else to be there. I can't rely on the number 2s. I need the number 1 to be there. So I'm hoping Leclerc or the 2 McLaren boys kind of get busy next race.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would love it. I think it'd be really good. I think Lando, I was gassed yesterday. I was watching qualifying. I thought Lando was going to stick it on pole. I was on the edge of my seat. It was crazy. So if we can have more action like that, I think what is going to be a great season will be even better. Thandie, who do you think out of probably looks like McLaren, but I guess McLaren and Ferrari, that looks like those two.
Come on now, I'm not. I'm a fan of the Ferrari lads. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
I feel like with Leclerc, he was lucky he even made it in a decent position today. Otherwise, I feel like they don't feed him. If not, he's not fed. Food. He gets shouting at if he doesn't get set.
Okay.
I don't know about that contract, guys. Okay, but I would obviously love to see a McLaren in there. But if we're gonna be pushing this agenda of Norris kind of taking this third place in, kind of pushing the two drivers, I think we should actually have Ricciardo matching his energy. But at the moment, Ricciardo's still getting used to his car, so we might not see that next week. Do you know what I mean? We might not actually. I think this might be a one-off thing. In an ideal world, hopefully, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think we'll see it.
You don't think it's going to be a sustained kind of thing?
It's not going to be sustained.
It's a lot to ask though, because there's a big gap between the top 2 and then the next best team. But I want to see that more often. I want to see McLaren there more often. I want to see. I don't want it just to be okay, cool. If Max is going to win, then it's just like maybe Lewis second and the other number 2s are fighting for the last place on the podium. I just it was refreshing to see another car there so high up in the standing. So I just want to see more of that this season. May not get it every time because pace like ridiculously high for the top two teams on any given weekend, but I like to see it more often.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be really nice, and I think Portugal's a good track as well. There was a lot of overtaking last season, and I think Bottas was first. Either Bottas was first, or he went into. I think he went into the lead at one point before Hamilton hunted him down. So I think I would love to see that. I'd love, I would just. I'm actually. Sounds weird, but I wouldn't mind it's like I guess we had one in Bahrain, but like a dry race, and with Bottas and Perez not messing up. Like because we every time we're like, okay, oh now, wow, there's gonna be mad strategies. Because this, and then it just never. Doing Perez, like not his fault in Bahrain, but his car stalls and like dies on the way to the grid and miraculously starts up again. So like he wasn't really involved, and like Bottas just didn't have the pace. So and then obviously this week, just poor performances from both. So it'd be really cool if it was genuinely 4 equal pace cars, in the top 2, and let's see how that kind of comes out, in the end. I think that'd be really dope. But
it almost feels as if like Bottas and Perez have their own spin-off show. That's the main story. They've got their own spin-off show. It's like you got the main story, which is Max and Lewis, and you got Bottas and Perez have their own like spin-off. Like they've had an instant packed first 2 races for all the wrong reasons. So they're having their own season over there.
They are the comedy duo. They are like the comic relief of the sitcom, aren't they? And I hope that it gets. I hope it gets better. Yannick, are you? I don't want to keep you before you need to leave.
Yes, I'm about to go now.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Sorry for the delay.
It's all right. Thank you for having me.
That's right. We'll get you on when it's when we've got more time and my computer doesn't spend an hour updating.
I'll be glad to be back. I'll be glad to be back, man.
No worries. Thank you so much, Yannick.
Thank you for having me, man.
Okay.
So Thandie, just me and you. How intimate?
I actually want to talk about something now, okay? And I hate to be the woman who is. Can somebody please think about the children?
Yeah, shoot.
But do you not think the F1 cars of 2021, is that the year we're in? Yeah, 2021 aren't made for the Imola track anymore.
So this is a really good discussion point. So there's quite a few tracks where F1 has outgrown the circuit. So, because they're now, the cars are, I think, 2 meters long.
Yeah.
They're really wide. I was watching some footage of Damon Hill in 1995 going around Imola, and the cars are so thin. Like they're tiny,
They're so small. And now these ones are so wide, and as we can see, like even at that start in those turns, and Imola at the same. You guys have to remember that 10 is the same 10. You know the 10 I'm talking about is the same 10.
Where Senna died. Yeah,
and so that brings me to my other comment, which is Russell's behavior towards Bottas today was quite disgusting, considering that everyone there knows exactly what happened to Senna. And so the first thing you should do is check if somebody's okay.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
It was petulant, I would say. I think it was petulant. I think that I think there's 2 sides to it. I think one hand we don't want robots driving cars. We want emotion, we want personalities, and we want to kind of feel the passion
Yeah, I'd
of.
love to have seen a punch up. I can't lie.
Yeah, no, it would have been good. You know, that would have been dope if there was a punch up. But you know, I think on that side, I'm like, you know, I don't mind, but I think on the other side, it was a bit classless, and
Yeah,
I think you know, if at the end of the day, and I think you know, maybe it's because the danger's kind of gone out of Formula One a little bit, even though, you know, someone's died, you know, as recently as
yeah.
2016, I think I want to say, when,
Grosjean crash.
no, well, the Grosjean crash, obviously that was crazy, but, not 2016, I'm trying to think whenever, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but the guy who died in the Manor car. So you know, someone's died recently in Formula One. You know, you had the site where Senna's died. You know, don't be a brat. Like it was a
It
brattish
was
thing
a
to do.
bratty move, mate.
Like you know, like yes, you're pissed off.
Mm.
Yes, you know, it was a dangerous crash, and yeah, I guess you know he feels like he could have died. And I guess that's where it comes from. He feels like he could have died, but
I
you know,
really
there's an
situated
audience watching.
during interviews, and then I kind of just clocked like you're going so fast.
So are you saying it's too tight for? I think in those conditions, yeah, it's too
Yeah,
tight
I
for.
I know I knew I'd sound like somebody please take but you know they are getting a bit too thin. I mean they're a bit fat now. The cars are chunky.
Yeah, and
Mm.
look, and I think, but this is an argument that people talk about with Monaco, for example. So Monaco is, you know, we're going to go to Monaco this year. It is tiny, like F1 cars. The circuit hasn't changed since 1950, pretty much, when they first started going around there. So you know the race, and I think where I'm concerned with some of the tracks that F1 goes to is that the racing suffers. We're lucky today that it rains because you know it gives us this change of variety. But you know, a lot of cars were struggling to overtake anyway because it was so thin. There's only one dry line. Even when it got dry, people were struggling to overtake because it's really difficult to overtake around there. You know, obviously DRS. If you get DRS, you know that helps. But you know, Imola, we're lucky. We've got a good race today. I guess Monaco is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes
I
not a
love
great
Monaco.
race.
That's my
Uh,
dream.
it's your dream. Look, I'd love to go to Monaco as a spectator. I want to go to Monaco. I want to live up champers,
You know what I
high life,
mean?
all
Live the
that.
high life in Monaco.
But as a spectacle, it's not a great race. You know, Singapore isn't a great race.
Yes.
But it's a gorgeous place to go to. You know, Canada is, you know, isn't a great race.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, I think that's F1. But, you know, people love those tracks, the older tracks, you know, so it's about weighing up history
Mm.
and needs.
Now, on the subject of tracks, we
Oh,
have
oh gosh. Yeah.
oh whoa, we have the new Miami track. We're
Yeah.
going to Miami.
Miami.
Okay, so this track, guys, it
Yeah.
goes right around the iconic Miami Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
Did you look at
Incredible.
the blueprint of it? Did you kind of see?
I did look at the track. I was looking. Actually, you're so professional at this because I was looking to see. I was like, is there going to be overtaking because it's a street circuit? I was like, is it going to be? But it looks like they're going to have at least two. Yeah, there's at least two
Yeah,
long straights where they'll be able to overtake. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. Look, you look at how they do the race in Texas, and that always looks like a really great spectacle. They really pull out all the stops. So, you know, I think this is the first. I think it's going to be the first new because like Vietnam hasn't gone through and
yeah.
Holland
We're waiting
hasn't
for that one.
gone
Yeah.
through. Are we going to Holland this year? I feel like we are. Maybe we are, but I don't know if we are. But you know, for the American owners, it's a new American track. They are going to put so much money into it.
You know the
It is.
Americans.
Americans are going to put on a show. I mean, mate, I really want to get out there for it. I mean, I've still never been to a Grand Prix, and I feel like
USA.
if I'm gonna go to a Grand Prix,
Miami.
if I'm gonna go to a Grand Prix,
When the heat is high, when it
Eve,
welcome to
going to
Miami.
Miami, it's
But
gonna
do you
be.
know what I was thinking as soon as I heard Miami?
Mm.
I know Hamilton, if he leaves next year, will be pissed that he could not show up and show off with all
Oh
his little
wow.
rapper friends and the kind of clothing. I knew the wardrobe was going to be amazing.
No,
Mhm,
I watching him race this season and
mm,
how he is,
mhm.
I don't think he's going to retire.
You
Like
think?
no matter what happens,
Okay.
I don't. I think he'll just do. I think he'll just be doing 1 year contracts from now on. I
Just
think
trying
he'll
to keep it saucy. Keeps on our
just keeps
toes.
on saying, and it's like control. Like he doesn't know what he wants to do in 3-4 years time. Like why tie himself down to a contract? Mercedes are always going to want to keep him. They're never going to want to let him go. See how he's feeling at the end of each year, make a decision. But the way look, he seems excited by this challenge of Max Verstappen. He doesn't seem weighed down by it. Although,
Yeah.
did you see him when he was in the pit lane and he was like kind of crying?
Yeah, I saw that. And he was, oh man, yeah, I saw that when he
Lewis,
put the red flag on. And I was like, is this guy okay?
oh, Lewis.
And
I know,
yes.
I know. I was,
Yeah,
my
it was,
my heart was
to be
bleeding.
honest, that race was just dead emotional. I can't lie to you. Like, I
It
felt
was
so for
crazy.
everyone.
It was
I
crazy.
feel like
But
our donkey should have just been Imola.
pardon?
I feel like our donkeys should have just been the Imola.
But the Imola track served up an
Yeah.
amazing race. So I'm not going to go too hard on it, but it's yeah, no, Miami. I think that's going to be great.
Mhm,
Um, I think F1 in general as a sport is so in tune with like social media and in terms of just growing it as a spectacle, they're just always trying to improve it. And I think, yeah, I'm really excited for it. I can't wait. I know this is going back a bit.
mhm.
I never gave my donkey.
Okay. Oh.
I want to talk
You
about it.
didn't actually, did you?
I didn't know because I just wanted to. Obviously, I just wanted to be nice and I wanted
And
to get as much
Google.
Yannick time as possible.
Oh,
So let's talk about Sergio Perez.
right.
I want to talk about Sergio Perez.
Right, yeah.
Today is not good. Not good. Um,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like a clumsy performance. I think
Mhm,
I'm gonna say, and I think if there's one seat where you can't have the type of performances that he had, it is this Red Bull
Planet.
seat.
Mhm.
Because Helmut Marko is, you're talking about Charles and Ferrari. Like Helmut Marko, he's probably whipping Sergio
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
back of a motorhome in
Mhm.
Imola right
He's
now
another one who doesn't
because,
get food unless
bruv, you know what he's getting? You know those African punishments where they make you stand in
Yeah,
like
he's
some
saying.
mad yoga pose and like just stand like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sergio Perez is on one leg with his finger on his nose for half an hour. Punishment.
Punishment. Mhm.
I'm telling you now, he is.
Mhm.
It's just like because the thing is with Sergio Perez, we want him to succeed so bad. He did so well in qualifying, and you're thinking, okay, push on.
Mhm.
He gets jumped to the start by Max. I mean, look, everyone got jumped to the start by Max, so that's not an issue. But to spin twice, in a race where he should have been third.
Mhm.
If we're gonna get at Bottas, then we've got to get at Perez. You're in the fastest car on the grid. You
Yeah, yeah.
cannot be spinning. So that's yeah, it's just not going to help him. It's not going to help his case. He needs good races. He had a good race in Bahrain. But he needs to. It needs to be consistent if Red Bull are going to keep him
It
on.
does. That's just what comes with being in that particular seat. It just has to
Yeah,
be consistent.
it does. It's yeah, it's not good enough. But if there's I guess the difference between this year and like with Albon and with Gasly is that I guess you kind of feel that Perez will sort it out. Do
How
you not
so?
think so?
How so?
How so? I just think experience. I think when you're an experienced driver,
Mhm.
Perez has nothing to lose. He's had his career. This is his chance. You know, he'll have a solid season. I think he will have a solid season. He'll get a few podiums at least.
Yeah.
I think there may be a sneaky win in there potentially. You know, oh, I should put that on silent. So I think for me, he's going into this with like all I've got to do is try my best, and if they keep me on, they keep me on. If they don't, I've had a 10-year Formula One career. Like, I'll run off into the distance. Whereas with Gasly and Albon, these guys are fighting for their lives, like careers, livelihoods. Like, if it doesn't go right, they know they're getting bounced out of that team straight away.
Innit?
Like they just know they're getting bounced. Whereas Sergio, we know he's going to stay for the season. There's not going to be they're not going to swap Gasly back in. They're definitely not going to put Tsunoda into that seat. So we know Sergio's there for the whole season. I think he's going to. When I say turn it round, I think performances like today will be few and far between. But he needs to make sure that he's not. They're not frequent.
Not making little rookie mistakes.
Let's have a word. Who else? Let's go down the grid. Let's go down the grid. Okay, so we know Ferrari solid result, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, we always expect that.
Why do you never want to say anything nice about Ferrari?
I don't know
what's
what
the
it is. I don't
Ferrari
know
agenda?
those guys, man.
It's a great result.
I feel like I've always just felt like Ferrari's in a very political team. They're incredibly political.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not really happy with. I'm still trying to, get my head around Leclerc's kind of contract and what they actually want of him. I feel like they're really hard on him. I feel I don't know.
Why do you?
About that team,
They
man.
love him.
They love him, but there's something about that team that just scratches me wrong, mate. It just scratches me wrong. And Leclerc FC, I know you're hearing this. I don't like you guys either.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
There you go. We're not going to clip that and put it on social media, but okay. So we've got after a steward's inquiry,
Mm.
we've got a Stroll behind Gasly after he was given a 5-second penalty. So we've got Ricciardo in 6th, Gasly in 7th, Stroll in 8th. That's a good result for Stroll. I think Stroll's getting the best out of the car. Vettel retired, but he had some unfortunate issues throughout the race. But I mean, Stroll, 2 solid results from Lance Stroll.
Mhm.
Do you think that Lance Stroll deserves a bit more respect?
No.
Okay,
I mean, does he receive a lot of disrespect? I mean,
I think people say that he's a billionaire's son.
mm,
His dad pays his way.
mm,
He should have been chucked out of the Aston Martin team instead of Perez, but obviously his dad kept him in. So those are things people say. So, but he's outperforming Vettel very easily.
very easily, yeah.
So should he start getting some
I think
respect?
he's showing promising signs. I mean, with his dad keeping him in, he's definitely gained experience from it. He didn't start off as absolutely brilliant, but you can tell he's promising. He's a promising driver. He's kind of in that little group chat I like to call with like Leclerc and the lot, and they're promising drivers. So yeah, I
So
think
do you think Lance Stroll is as good as Charles Leclerc?
no,
Do you think he's as good as Norris,
no,
George Russell,
no. I knew you were going to say that. No,
Carlos
I think within
Sainz?
that little yes,
You think Lance Stroll is as good as Carlos Sainz? That's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, I think with Lance Stroll, the answer is in between. I feel like he gets too much stick, and
Mm.
I think he is a reasonable driver. I don't think he's
Mm.
as bad as, look, we're looking at what Mazepin's doing, and that's what someone who is paying their way in the sport looks like. I feel like Lance Stroll is got talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this season he'll outperform Vettel quite easily, and then there'll be a conundrum for Aston Martin because they've got a very expensive driver who will
Exactly.
not be performing. But
Mm-hmm.
look, let's not.
I
We're going
mean,
to
the
give.
whole Formula One thing, we've always known it's about money with a lot of these drivers, and that's why we like Hamilton so much, because he's actually just come from his dad's like pocket money and just trying to save. But you can't deny a decent driver. He's decent. He's not as bad as certain people. I mean, you can't say he's awful when we have Mazepin on there, can you?
No, we can't. Mazepin made it to the end of the race today, though. So
Oh, yeah, but
respect to Nikita. Just the one spin at the end.
not like my Formula One friend said to me. He said, all these drivers are getting used to their cars, and he said, you've got to kind of give it to Mazepin, because Mazepin didn't actually first start off in the car he's in at the moment. I think he said he started in a BMW. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong.
What, as in racing?
Yeah, I think he said something like.
I'm not sure. You know what? That'll
I
be
think
my homework.
apparently when he was practicing, maybe I don't know, but.
Okay.
Do you get okay, so here's my question to you basically. Do you think he is in that category of people who are just getting used to their cars, or do you genuinely believe this man cannot drive?
Oof, what a good question. Uh, I think Nikita Mazepin uh, is not ready for Formula One. I don't think he was one of the stronger drivers in F2 last year. Like, he wasn't as good as Tsunoda. He wasn't as good as Mick Schumacher, obviously, because Mick Schumacher won the championship. Callum Ilott, who I think nearly won it, is better than Mazepin.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, there's other drivers in F2. I can think of
I mean,
Schwartzman's
yeah,
probably
we could
better.
definitely name a lot of drivers that could
Yeah,
have been in his
that
place.
could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think he's ready.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're not ready, what you need is an environment where your car is easy to drive, and you can put solid miles on the clock. And that Haas car, they've literally said that we're not developing this car from last year. So it was awful last year. They've
Mm,
not they've not put any money into trying to fix it. It looks like it's worse. It looks like it's undrivable. It's not normal. Mazepin's a bad driver, but he's not like incapable of driving a car.
of course. Yeah.
So for someone for Mick Schumacher to spin today, for Mazepin to spin today again, I think there might have been some spins in practice as well. It's just not normal. So I do think some of it's a car. Unfortunately, with Mazepin, he's not going to get any sympathy. You
No,
know, so
sometimes
that's
we like a shit driver who's, at least got a nice personality, but a
yeah,
lot,
exactly.
yeah.
If yeah, and he unfortunately, that's the bed that he's got to lie in. So that's my take on Mazepin. What do you think Do you think he's just not good
So
enough?
yeah, I've always just thought he definitely wasn't ready for Formula One at all. But as I said in a couple of episodes ago, he's bringing in that Russian money.
Yeah, and
Very
Haas need that money. And look,
mm.
I pray to God that that car is good next season, because if it's not,
Yeah,
if that car isn't good next season,
yeah.
then Gunter Steiner,
Mm,
I don't even know what
mm.
he's doing there, to be honest. Other than probably just bringing attention to Haas through Drive to Survive. To be honest, he's just the main character of Drive to Survive. But yeah, okay. So next race, we're in Portugal, Portimao. Um, So, what are you looking? What would you like to see in the next race?
I'd like to see less people talk about how Ricardo is sorry like less people talk about how Ricardo is getting used to his car and
Okay,
more about, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that
yeah,
from Ricardo. Time's up, boy.
yeah. If let me ask you a question then. If Ricardo loses to Lando Norris
Mhm,
on points
mhm,
and qualifying this season, which is likely
mhm.
if he has a half a season, doesn't have a half a season head start, or he's half a season behind, basically. Um, where do you think that leaves Ricardo in
I
terms of
think
his career,
I
in
think
terms of how he's standing?
I think we better put him in the washing machine because man's washed. I'm joking. I'm
Oh,
joking. I'm joking. God forbid that happens. But yeah, it definitely puts his career out of question because now you've left Red Bull.
yeah,
You're now in. We've given you a chance in McLaren. Where do
yeah,
we place you now? Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's a techie one.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I said, I think with those two, I think we're in for some fireworks. I think they're good. They're both level headed enough not to take each other out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Ricardo is a lot better than what he's showing now.
He is. Yeah.
And I think out of all the drivers who are getting used to their cars, I think him him and Science. Obviously, I think Science will always kind of be a tenth or two. Like, just I think he'll always be behind Leclerc, but not
Yeah.
far off Leclerc.
That's what we
Where,
like about Sainz, though, because he's good in keeping up with Leclerc and kind of almost matching the energy. At the moment, we're
yeah,
not seeing that with Ricardo.
I think Ricardo, but I think he once he comes good, I still think he may get the best of Lando Norris. Maybe we'll have to wait for next season to do that. But as good as Lando Norris is, I think I don't want people to forget that Daniel Ricciardo is a phenomenal driver.
Yeah.
But we could just be seeing Lando Norris, and just what a talent he is. He's won junior categories at every level. So no, this
And
isn't
perhaps
this isn't a
today
small
was
boy.
actually the kick up the bum for him to kind of be like, just pull your socks up and
Pull your socks up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see.
We
Let's
can't always
see.
make the worst, can we? But he's a joy
No,
to have around the pits. The guy's always smiling. He does great
yeah,
interviews. So,
he's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy. Um, I already said what I like seeing that the top four. I just said I wanted to see the top four. Yeah, not that I love I love it's crazy. You know what? I'm such like an F1 purist. Like I love the wacky races, crashes,
mm,
but I love the strategy races. You know, the races where it's boring for like an
yeah,
hour, and then like
yeah.
the last 15 half an hour is just like, oh my god, I don't know what's gonna happen.
mm,
Like, I love those races. So I'm not saying I want a boring race, but I want to see the pace of the Red Bull and the Mercedes. Like, who really is like the quicker car over a race distance. I have a sneaky feeling it's Mercedes, but yeah, I'd like to see Bottas up there. I'd like to see Perez up there. Four-way battle. Not separated by much. Let's see. But I think we're going to be. Hopefully, we will be able to. Obviously, yeah, it's not going to feel as long as last time because it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
three
That was
week
a long
break.
break. That was a
It
long
felt
break.
worse than the
Yeah.
winter one. Honestly,
That was a long break.
I was just I could not. I was literally like
Hmm.
on my knees for some F1
Yeah,
content. It
yeah,
was crazy. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. But I think let's come back next week. We'll have a midweek one, and then we
yeah.
can let's have like a little discussion pod. We'll bring some people on, and we'll have
Yeah.
a discussion
Yeah,
pod
let's do that.
about
I like that.
some F1 issues
Mhm.
that we maybe don't get to do in like a post race one.
Okay.
But I think we're going to sign off there. I think that's a good.
I think that's us done.
That's us done. Guys, if you're watching this, thank you for watching. Make sure if you're at this stage, give the video a like, subscribe, let us know what you think in the comments. All of that jazz. The look at the last episode, it's in the corner there. I don't even. You know what? It's blatantly there.
Yeah.
I've just clocked. But yeah, no, thank you for listening. Any last words, Thandie? Profound.
That was an interesting race, guys.
It was a great race.
Interesting.
Very interesting race. We've got even more subplots coming out, and look, we're in the second race of a 23 race season.
We tend, as Formula One fans, we tend to get excited and run this agenda. It's a long ass season. This is the longest season we've ever had ever. So relax.
Yeah. Relax. So we're gonna skedaddle, but thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, like. If you're listening as a podcast, make sure you're following us so you know when we're next out. And I think we're on Apple Music now, so you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Please, if you can, leave us a review. That would be really super sweet.
Cool,
and share it with people. Let them know what we're doing. Until Portimao, no, actually, until next week. That's good night from us. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.